So stick around to the end to learn all of our tips and tricks that we have in store for you today. We won't be able to fasten this cord with a single staple, but by folding the cord back on itself and adding a couple more staples, it'll keep it from slipping. Before using our bench grinder, we want to make sure that the stone is square. We can square it off with the help of this angle grinder. We lost the slider to this utility knife. Let's make a new one using a bolt, a washer, and a wing nut. Now our blade won't fall out. This is a really cool and effective way to make a spring. We can use these 2 toothbrushes to make a bike chain brush. We'll fill this syringe with oil, and now we can lubricate our bike chain. By marking out the corners like so, we can attach these 2 pieces together with a miter joint, even though they are 2 different sizes. We can make a small wire brush by using this bit of steel wire. Just add a bit of shrink wrap tubing and spread out the strands. Use this to get into hard to reach places. Here's a quick way to make holes in plastic and in foam. We'll attach a bolt to this round fitting and then insert it into our soldering iron. Now we'll heat it up and press it into the tubing. Our scissors are a bit dull. We can use this mug to sharpen the blades. Instead of cutting these wires normally, we can make a little modification to our pliers. Secure the pliers in a vise and grind out the notch on the sides of the jaws like so. Now we can cut these wires without dulling the blade. This is a homemade drill guide. It's highly recommended to keep our drill perpendicular. Let's heat up the snap blade and use some pliers to bend it in half. Make some incisions at the end of this post and set the blade inside. Secure it with a washer and a screw. Now we can pass wires through the blade to remove the plastic. If you pass a cord through the center of this bolt like so, gravity will make sure that the rope gives you a vertical level. We can drill a small hole through this nut and then screw it onto this bolt. Now we can remove a metal pin from this binder clip and clip it onto the nut. Now we can hang our rope by passing it through the clip. Our next project will be a torch. We'll need some PVC, a spigot, and some gauze. Fill the PVC with kerosene and insert the gauze. Now when we light it, we can twist the spigot handle to adjust the flame. We need to shred lots of weeds from our garden. Let's make something that'll help us do that. We'll cut the saw blade into a rectangular shape and then attach it to our angle grinder. Next, we'll cut out a hole in this barrel and place the angle grinder inside. Now, we just push the weeds into the barrel. Instead of trying to remember a bunch of fancy knots, sometimes we can just use zip ties. We can use our tripod in a new way. By attaching our drill to the bottom of this tripod, and by attaching a foam clip into the drill, we can get some interesting 360-degree shots. Trash bags can be tedious to secure, but by adding 2 clips to both sides of the trash can, the bag will stay put. To make sure that this spray gets on the lug nuts and not on the brake pads, try using the top of this plastic bottle as a funnel. To make sure that these two pieces of wood are level, use a hammer and a screw to hold the boards in place while we attach the two pieces together. Wrapping the wire around the terminal like this isn't going to hold. Instead, we'll remove some of the plastic from the end of the wire like usual. Then, we'll cut an additional piece of plastic and move it to the end of the wire. Now wrap the wire around the terminal back on itself and then tighten it back down. We're having a hard time removing this bolt with these pliers. We can make our own DIY socket wrench. Insert a same-size bolt into a pipe and then hammer on all sides until the pipe matches the shape of the bolt. Now we can use this to loosen the original bolt. Here's an interesting trick to make pocket holes. Drill a large hole in the center of the stud and then 3 pilot holes inside of it. Then, drill the screws into the pilot holes to attach the two pieces together. For our next project, we'll be modifying these pliers to turn them into brick tongs. We'll start by cutting off a couple strips of metal and then welding the larger piece to the handle and the smaller piece to the jaws. Secure the longer handle into the vise and bend it to a right angle. Now we can comfortably carry bricks. Sometimes it can be impossible to fill a larger bucket with water because it just won't fit into the sink. In these cases, we can attach foam tubing to the faucet and then place the other end of the foam tubing into the bucket which we set on the floor. Now we'll be making a DIY sandblaster. We'll first need to cut out a hole from this pipe and flatten one end. Next, we'll need 2 bottle caps. We'll cut out a section on the top of this bottle cap that's the same width as the pipe so that it can fit inside. We'll drill a hole into the other bottle cap and then screw the 2 caps together. Place the pipe through the incision and then line up the 2 holes. Fill the bottom cap with hot glue. Next, we can fill this bottle with sand and attach it to the bottle cap. Now with an air compressor, our sandblaster can clean our tools. If we've lost the caps to these nozzles on our glue bottles, we can just use drywall anchors as a substitute. This is called a marlin spike hitch, and we can use it to make a rope ladder. We'll wrap the rope around the rung 3 times, and then wrap the middle loop around the back. We can do this on both sides of each rung to make a rope ladder. To undo the hitch, just pull it off and it will come undone. Now let's make a modification to our soldering iron. We'll remove the tip and secure it in a vise. Then we'll cut off the tip with a hacksaw and make a vertical incision. We'll then cut a snap blade into the shape of an X-Acto knife blade and attach it into the incision. Now we can heat up our blade to make our cuts. We need to make a new handle for our screwdriver. We can make one using hot glue and baking soda. Heat up the hot glue and the baking soda together using a heat gun. Mix everything together until it forms a thick paste. As it cools, mold the handle onto the shank until the paste cools to a hard plastic handle.